Hi Stampers, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super creepy Halloween card. This is for an upcoming blog hop that we're doing, so our theme is Halloween. If you haven't already, make sure you go through the rest of the list of blog hoppers. All you have to do is scroll through the bottom of my blog, which is Rachthestamper.wordpress.com. And there'll be a list of bloggers. If you enter your comment along with the hashtag Stampin contest, you'll be entered to win a really awesome prize. So this card is pretty neat because I tried to go for like a cool, creepy graveyard theme. And then when you open it up, it's actually peek through and it gets even creepier in there. So little Halloween moon, little creepy tree, and then this is a really fun, this is actually a large stamp. It's called Halloween Tree. It's actually pretty big. And what I did is I just stamped the top and then just trimmed it to fit. You could also put this greeting on the front if you wanted to instead. And then this uses the Halloween Scenes edgelets, which is the fence and the tree on the inside and the bat. And then this little raven comes from the Cookie Cutter Halloween set. Right here, there's also a bat and some other creepy guys. This also, you can get a coordinating cookie cutter punch that goes with that. Right here. And this also has a Christmas set that goes with it as well. So let's get started. I did do a bunch of this ahead of time because this is kind of a little bit of a detailed card with the cutting out, so I didn't want to bore you with that part. So what we're going to do is we have a base of dark gray, and then we have a piece of Whisper White that's going to go on the inside and become our moon. And we're going to use one of the circle dies that's in the Layering Circles Framelets. So this is in this set, if you haven't seen this already. This has scallop circles, and it also has plain circles. So this is the circle out of here. It's the second from the smallest. And then it also has all these coordinating scallop circles as well. So this is a great set if you haven't gotten it yet. A lot of fun things that you can do with this card, or this framelit set. So I think this is about an inch and a quarter in diameter. So that's the one we're going to use. So what we're going to do is, I did do a little bit of pre-cutting, as I said, but I'm going to show you how to make this really cool moon. So you can do this two different ways. If you don't really like the halo around the front, then you can do a different mask. You would just use a Post-it, and you would use your 1 1/4 inch circle punch out a Post-it, and you could go around it. But I thought it was kind of neat because it gave the glow through to the front of the card. So I'm going to do it this way again, but we'll change a little bit of the stuff up. So what we're going to do is, this is our Whisper White piece that is going to go on the inside. Right now, I'm going to get our big shot. Just scoot this over a little bit so you can see. Okay. And I do have my magnetic platform, that way I can get it exactly where I want it. So on our basic gray panel, we're going to kind of figure out where we want our moon to be. So kind of put it like, not really super low, but just a little bit lower. And we're going to go ahead and cut that out. Okay. All right, so that's it. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so now we have our little circle, and you can see we're going to save this piece because we're going to do something with it as well. And then, so the way I did this originally was, this piece is trimmed to fit, so this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it's going to go inside. So what I did is I kind of held it, made sure I had it centered, and then you can either hold it down, you can tape it down if you want to, but holding it down was pretty good for me. So I'm going to use crushed curry and Tangerine Tango, and then maybe just the tiniest bit of real red. Okay, so this is going to just make our moon. So let's get a couple sponges here. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the lightest color, so that's going to be crushed curry. And we're just going to very lightly sponge the moon, and kind of will create that little halo on the outside as well. Okay, and then we're going to move on to Tangerine Tango, and I just kind of stuck it to one side, that way it seemed like a more realistic moon, and I did this very lightly. And again, you'll see you're creating that little halo of as the moon would be glowing onto the front of your card. And then in the end, just a teeny bit of real red. Kind of just to give that crazy Harvest Moon feel. Okay, so that's going to be it for that. You can always, if you want to even it out a little bit more, just go around the side just slightly, just to give yourself more of a halo, but you don't have to get super dark with it because it is a pretty dark card to begin with. So again, that was Tangerine Tango, Crushed Curry, and Real Red. So we're going to move those to the side. And then we're going to need our basic black archival ink. Because the other thing I did was I kind of went with my sponge dauber. I just went around the edge of the entire card just to give it more of a like a creepy feel. And if you don't want it to be super dark, the way you can do that is by starting off of the card and then going onto it. It'll kind of disperse your ink a little bit more. Let's go a little bit over here. Okay. And then I kind of wanted like almost like a little foggy feel to the card. Okay. And then the other thing is we are going to do the inside of the card. I did sponge the entire inside piece and I made a little bit of clouding behind the moon. So let me show you how I did that as well. So we're going to go ahead and move this piece completely out of the way. And now what we're going to do is take our circle that we punched out. We're going to use this as a mask to make some cards behind the moon. Okay. So what you can do is you can take a piece of, if you have like a easier sticky tape, you can do that, removable one or removable glue, or you can use just a piece of snail and then just kind of take a little bit of the sticky off with your finger. And then this will stick, but it won't stick permanently. So don't want to press it hard, just lightly press. So again, what we're going to do with this is we're going to make almost like a cloud scene behind the moon. Okay. So we're going to kind of dab off just a little bit. And then I just went and made a little ominous cloud. You can use the basic gray if you want for this. Smoky slate if you don't want it to be quite as dark either. Make this one a little bit lighter since it's behind. And then we're going to do the same thing again, just do the edges. Just to kind of give it that little creepy feel. Every single card you're going to do is going to be a little bit different, which is completely fine. Just depends on your level of creepiness you want to do, depending on who you're sending this to, because you could make it a much more fun card without all this black as well. Okay, so I'm going to just peel this off and see what it looks like. Very carefully. Okay, so there you see you have your kind of clouds behind your moon. And then we're going to take our tree, which I did went ahead and punched this out ahead of time so you wouldn't have to watch. And we're going to just attach this right here. Okay, so we're going to do that just with a little bit of snail. You could use mini glue dots. You could use the Tombow liquid glue, completely up to you. Okay, and we're going to place that kind of right over here. Doesn't have to be anywhere specific, just wherever you want it to go. Okay, and what we're going to do is once we get this all situated, we're going to trim this edge off as well. Okay, the other thing we're going to do quickly is we're going to stamp our Happy Halloween. So I went ahead and did this in the Tangerine Tango, and then I just colored in the spiders lines in black. You could do it whatever way you want. You could do it in black if you want. Completely up to you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stamp this. Okay, and now if you want to, let me close this so I don't accidentally make a mess. If you want to color in your spiders, you could do it just with your, the fine tip of your Stampin' Right marker. So I'm just going to, again, just do the tails of silk, and we'll give them 2 eyes while we're at it. And then the other thing I did on this card is I did fill in the face with a little pumpkin face, but we won't do that on this one. So I just went ahead and trimmed this out. I'm going to just trim to that one edge. Doesn't matter what this looks like. We're going to straighten it out a little bit, so don't worry about the fact that it's a little bit crooked. How did I do that one? Actually, that one I trimmed straight through. Okay. And then the same one here. I'm going to just trim underneath this bottom line for the Halloween. You could go ahead and sponge this in black if you wanted to. Up to you, either way. You could also, if you wanted to instead, put this on the front. If you wanted to make it a little bit more lighthearted, completely fine. So I'm going to put a little bit of snail on here. And we're going to just put that right there. You could change the position. You could put it down here at the bottom if you wanted to instead. You know, whatever you want to do. And we'll go ahead and trim this piece off. All right, so now that's going to be our inside of our card. Okay, now what we want to do is finish up the front. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside for now. So what I did is I trimmed up a bat. Actually, this time I did 2 bats, so we can do one and then do another one up here somewhere. So I only put snail on one side of the bat. That way it wouldn't stick to the inside of the card. Okay, so you could do that. You could pop this bat up on a dimensional. Let me flip this around. Pop him up on a dimensional. And we'll kind of just give his little wings an angle so you can see. So the other thing I did was I wanted to make this kind of creepy looking fence, but I didn't want it to go all the way across. So what I actually ended up doing was I just cut the fence in half, and then I used part of it here and part of it here. But the other thing I thought would be fun is maybe to put a couple tombstones behind there. So I went ahead and stamped a couple tombstones in basic black onto the dark gray cardstock. I know it's a little bit hard to see against this. What we might do is use the my little sponge dauber here just to sponge the bottom, give it a little depth. And you can always pop these up on dimensionals too. But as I said, this was kind of just something I thought would maybe make it a little more added, maybe look it a little bit more like a graveyard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trim this in half. So I'm going to kind of decide where I think I want my fence to be. And we'll cut that in half. Cut this part off right here. Okay, and then the other thing I kind of thought would be fun, instead of doing it the same way, is maybe making a little bit of a gate. So we'll give that a try as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. And as you know, I know there's a couple spots that aren't popped out on this, but a graveyard fence is not perfect, especially if it's a haunted graveyard. So we're going to just pop that one there. All right. And we'll trim that out in a second. I have my one other piece here that we're going to use for our little gate. So we'll go ahead and cut that out. I'm just going to cut this right at the post. And we'll see how this looks. This you can even make so it's a little bit bent. So it's kind of sticking out. Or, you know what I might do is trim this up just a little bit. So it looks super rickety. And put this right here. So it's kind of like it's hanging, barely hanging open there. That's what we're going to do. We're going to attach that just like that. Put that right there and kind of give it a little bit of a bend. Okay. And then the other thing we're going to do, I had my little pieces of black cardstock. So for this, I just kind of cut out little tiny strips to make these little crooked pieces that are holding up our sign. So I just cut out 2 long strips, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to put one on this side and one on this side. And really, they don't need to be fat or thin. You know, it's got to just, you're judging whatever you think looks nicest. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some snail on this, and I'm going to position these, and then I'm just going to trim them off at the bottom. Okay, so leave one here. And you know, everything in haunted graveyards leans. So let's put that there. Okay. The only other thing I have, we'll trim this off in just a second. All that, we'll trim everything up in a second. I have my, instead of have some spooky fun, I was going to just stamp Happy Halloween. Let me just get my archival black out. This is just a scrap piece of Whisper White, probably from some paper that I trimmed. Great. And then the same thing with this, I kind of just made this almost look like a pretty rickety sign. So I kind of just angled them a little bit more on that one. There you go. I did do a tiny bit of sponging on this just to make it look kind of old and warped. You could stamp this in orange or tangerine tango or pumpkin pie if you wanted to instead. There you go. Make it look a little rough. Other thing you can do with it is take your bone folder and kind of just roll with it. Kind of make it look a little bit worn. You can even crinkle it up a little bit just so it looks like a super beat up sign. Okay, so we're going to put this on with dimensionals. I thought it was a little bit more fun that way. So 2 dimensionals there. Okay, and we're just going to pop this like a crooked sign. We're going to put our little raven that we cut off. I'm going to put him on with a dimensional as well, but this one I trimmed super duper tiny. It's like a quarter of one of these little sliver ones because this bird is not very large. Let's see, make sure I got that on there right. Okay. And you can kind of put him wherever you want, hanging out over here on the... You can even put him on top of the sign. That would be pretty fun as well. Okay, so let's just trim off all of our little pieces. So we're going to just trim. Sometimes it's easier if you flip it over so you can see right where you want. So trim off the edge of the fence, the other edge of the fence, and then just your little couple bottom pieces. Okay, just like that. And you can also just put in, I kind of put this a little bit darker here at the bottom, like it was almost fog on the bottom of the entrance to the graveyard. There you go. Okay, one other thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and put some, oh, you know what? I forgot all about my tombstones. How you like that? Well, we could put one on the inside. How about that? Because I'm not sure how these are going to fit behind here. We'll try one on the inside instead. Change of plans. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to just get all this out of the way. I'm going to put some snail back here. Sorry, I'm a little super snaily. And then before we completely fold this down, I just kind of am setting it there. I just want to make sure that the moon lines up. And as you can see, it doesn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this right there so the moon lines up exactly. And then we're going to close the card behind it. And then we can go ahead and give this a push down. And now, while we're at it, you could do glue dots or you could do snail. Put our little guys in there. And then one last thing. So they sell this really cute Halloween night baker's twine set. I used orange. You could use the black and gray, either one. You could use them both together if you wanted to. Just make yourself a little bit of a, I thought this was a little bit fun. Just make a little, just a tie down here. Let me see. Just to give a little bit of extra something to the card. I didn't do a bow because I thought it would be less creepy. As you can see, I was totally trying to go with the creep factor on this card. There we go. Oh, my knot's a little looser than I'd like, but that's okay. Trim this off. All right. Let me get all this out of the way so you can see what these look like finished. And one second, I'll flip this over so you can see better. So there you go. So that's our second card, which I kind of think I like the orange a little bit better. This is the first card. So I hope you guys like that. This is so much fun to make. Super duper creepy card. It was really easy to do the cutout with the halo and then add in all these little extra bonus pieces. You could always even put this right there if you wanted to. So I hope you guys have a great Halloween. I hope you really like this card. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to either shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com or you can leave me a comment on this blog hop, which would be rachthestamper.wordpress.com. Again, don't forget to leave hashtag #StampItContest and your comment to enter to win a really fabulous prize. It'll be drawn at the middle-ish of October, I believe. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to me on YouTube under Rach the Stamper. You can also find me on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook as well. And if you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be yours. Please shoot me an email with your name and address, and I'll be sure to get you out a catalog and the new 2016 holiday catalog as well. You can get all of these supplies in my online store 24/7, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching, guys.